I think the magic of theater is, I think it occurs on all levels. I think it occurs in the audience, and I think it occurs on stage.
I love that the audience comes and they're so open, and they're open to whatever's going to happen on the stage, and anything can happen.
When that actor is no longer an actor, when the lines are no longer someone's idea and they wrote them down, when the environment is not pulling you out of what's going on, but it's giving you that place and that thing, there's nothing that can beat that.
It's the beauty of live theater. It's ephemeral quality, and the fact that every night something else might happen.
Good theater always has one thing in common, and that is it's some human experience.
I like the fact that there is a relationship one has with the people on stage and with the audience that is intimate and it's instantaneous.
There's fresh stuff that's being invented every night, every minute, and that's so exciting. It is live, in person, bam. I love that.
We came here in 1965, and I was trying to think of ways to make money, so I went to the art center and I spoke to Bill Zaka and asked him if I could teach drama in the summers, and he said yes, he was very interested. Then Bill, he was so enthusiastic, he said to me, why don't we put on some plays with the community? We did plays in the Nichols studio. I think I did that from 1966 to 68.
So there were a few of us here who wanted to do theater. So I got together with Valerie McMillan. We did Miss Julie. I think that was the first one I really remember doing, and Valerie McMillan directed it. We had a dressing room in a camera dark room. We had entrances from the bathroom. I remember standing in the bathroom. Valerie was Miss Julie, and I had the maid's part. So I was not always on stage by a long shot. And I would spend time looking out the window of the bathroom, and then I'd be listening for my cue, and then I would come on and do my stuff, and go off, say, into the cupboard, which was at the other end of the stage.
We did The Mad Woman of Chaillot, and that was the play with the most people in it. I think there were about 22 in the cast. I remember Una, she used to bring a bottle of sherry to the play, and she had a lot of little glasses. And she would offer anybody a drink of sherry before the play.
It was quite an interesting time because we were just making do.
Everybody seemed to contribute so much quite spontaneously.
So the theater had its startings there, its beginnings there. A theatrical community began, very tiny, but it continued. And then this theater was built, I think, 1972. And then in 1976, Don Murray was instrumental in gathering all these people together and incorporating us into a legal entity.
The Art Center used to have movies every week. And next to the ad for the movie, there was a notice for this audition for this first play, which was going to be called The Visit. So I said, well, should I do this, shouldn't I do this? And I wasn't really sure, because they said, yeah, no, they don't need me. I'm just, another hack, and, what do I know? So anyhow, I showed up, and I went into the room, and there were like 30 people sitting around in a circle with Don Murray taking charge. And I got cast as a 65-year-old schoolmaster. I was 37 at the time.
I was in the first season's production of Candida, and then everything began to happen. So we really owe an enormous amount to Don Murray.
After I had been in Candida, which Sandra was in, a review came out in the Mendocino Beacon. As characterized by Bob Cohen, Marchbanks is kind of early Jerry Lewis, nervous to the point of St. Vitus's dance. He made no apparent attempt on the role's subtlety, but did manage to generate a certain distraught sensitivity. Sandra Hahn, who's now Sandra Hawthorne, wafted relaxed and poised between Cohen and Bob Avery, the Reverend, her husband, playing it with a restraint that would have pleased Shaw, again and again introducing some tension, only to have it blown away by an oblivious Avery or Cohen. Her Candida was crisp but soft, compassionate but alert, a chamber violinist in a rock and roll combo.
It was MPAC when I got involved, Mendocino Performing Arts Company.
It was 1978. I was working at the Seagull, and one of the patrons there, Lou Harris, had mentioned to me that there were auditions happening.
It was 1994. I had seen that there was a local theater company here, and so I thought to myself, well, maybe if I go down there, maybe somebody will have something for me to do.
First show was Lost in Yonkers. Bob Cohen directed. And I did the sets and the lights. I built it and painted it in my shop and went right at it first time out.
15 years ago now, how is that possible? But there you have it.
Roughly 15 years ago, I stage managed a play I can't remember the name of. Paul Bennett Townsend was in it, and he had a heart attack. That's all I remember.
In 1982, I was courting somebody that I was interested in, and at that time she was in a show. And I realized that if I wanted to have anything to do with this person, I'd better get involved with theater somehow.
Sue Wynn was doing The Crucible, directing it, and having a hard time getting men. And my good friend Helen Daggett just tipped her off. She said, I know where there's a man you could, if you'll cast him.
It was in late 1989, and Sandra Hawthorne asked if I would design sound for her play called Woman in Mind. So I said, it's a nice play. I mean, there's some bird song, there's rain, there's a dog. I thought, piece of cake. No, it was not. Bach was easier.
I don't think there's anything in theater that I haven't done.
I was an intern, cleaning person, assistant stage manager.
I've taught acting workshops, I've acted in plays, I've directed off and on throughout.
I was assistant director on a show. I did costumes, I ran lights.
I've directed about, it's either 11 or 12 plays.
I, to this day, can't remember whether I was called artistic director or managing producer or directing producer or production manager.
Assistant stage manager, a stage manager.
I've directed, I've acted, I've done lights.
Board member, artistic committee member.
Stage managing, light design, directing.
I've been an actor and I've been a director.
I did Thunder for one production.
We should have little, pins like Girl Scouts or something.
Yeah, I made a costume. I made the underpants for the underpants. Yeah.
There have been so many memorable things that have happened on this stage. I marvel at what we've done over the years. Not everyone's been a good one, but there have been an awful lot of good ones.
This is how JUMPSTART started. Doug was producing director, Doug Warner. Jeff Warner was the director of the Mendocino Rec Center. And Doug and I had talked often about doing some classes for children. And the three of us sat down and talked about what it would take to do a performance. So this was in 2000. And we did a script of Alice in Wonderland. And we had almost 20 kids. And because Alice was such a main role, we had 4 different people playing Alice. We had good audiences. We thought, okay, we're beginning something here.
But in a sense, you might say my main role of all that I take at the moment started about 7 years ago when Kathy O'Grady invited me to begin a teenage wing of her JUMPSTART Young People's Theater group. I had an after-school program, and the climax would come every summer when we would present a fully produced play, sometimes at the Matheson, and now we're doing regularly at the Shoney in the brochure as part of the MTC season.
Thursday night, I went to see Dog Sees God. And everybody in that cast were JUMPSTART kids. I didn't work with every one of them, but Dan has. And to see their commitment and their seriousness, I feel like I can take off my cap and pass it on.
Rarely a show that went by that somebody didn't pull something. There was the dresser, of course, where Carrie Warner had crafted a very small little penis that she put in the bottom of Doug Warner's teacup. And so he had finished off the tea and saw that. That was fun.
I was in something called Over the River and Through the Woods that was directed by Kathy O'Grady. Donovan was my husband, and he came on. We each had a little mini monologue that we'd delivered at the beginning. He came on, delivered his, and I came on and went, what is, when, what, that, and he cut me off right away and rescued me.
We had a nice audience one afternoon of a tour group, it was, I believe, nice old ladies and stuff. They're sitting in the audience and probably thinking they're at home watching television. And Joanna lists all the things I'm supposed to do for her, and now that she's shown up on my doorstep in Hollywood, to get her into the movies. And I look at her, she has this whole list of things, and I say to her, and who do you suppose is going to make this dream of yours possible? Some nice lady in the third row gets up, points a finger at me and says, you are.
It was during All My Sons, and I played the mother. And I was to change out of a house dress into her black net cocktail dress for their evening out. I was looking at Lee Edmondson, who was playing the son, and his face was transformed into shocked amazement. It'd be one way to describe it. I had sat in the dressing room, sat down on my white bra, having put on a black bra for this costume, and it had stuck in the net of the costume in the back. So I walked on stage with this white bra hanging from the back of my costume. And somehow, I didn't know it, Lee somehow got behind me, unhooked the bra, and hid it behind a cushion on the couch. I really have no idea how he did it.
We were rehearsing Enchanted April, and Beth Richmond, who has done this 100 times in plays, and you know, there's always that moment where you have a love scene with somebody and the two actors have to find their way to the intimacy with each other and get comfortable with it, and there's an awkwardness in that. And Beth, boy, she just cut right through that. And I think we're still on script and we're kind of staging it. And she walks up to Hugh Dignan, and I mean, she just plants one. And she really kisses him. and the whole room is just like stunned, and it rocks. I mean, Hugh was, it rocked him back. I mean, it was a great kiss, a great kiss. And as she finishes the kiss, Hugh is just reeling, and she says, okay, that part's over with. Now let's do the scene. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
This theater has shown up for me as a home in all kinds of weird ways. And, oh, I'm gonna cry. One particularly difficult time when I was going through my divorce and being a single mom, and I remember I was laying on my bed doing what people told me to do, which is to pray and to contemplate. And I was like imagining, oh, God, what if God could talk? What would God even sound like? You know, I was completely adrift. And the phone rang, and Ivy, my daughter, who was, I think, like 5 at the time, answered the phone. And she comes into the room and she says, Tom Collins is on the phone. And I thought, Tom Collins? God sounds like Tom Collins? I'm like, who is Tom Collins? It turns out it was Bob Cohen, actually. And Bob Cohen called and said that he was holding auditions, like right now, and it was for The Decorator. And I had no idea that it was God calling, and that play, doing a comedy, that was the first big physical comedy I'd ever done, and it literally saved my life.
If I didn't have theater in my life, either, you know, going to it, being involved, actually, you know, being involved in it, I just think my life would be a lot less happy.
I don't know what else I'd be spending my time on if I didn't do theater. When I hear of people who do the 9-to-5 thing like I do, and work full-time and don't have a thing that they do with their evenings or with, I wonder what their lives are all about.
Theater is magic. It's, when you go to the theater, you come out a different person than when you went in.
Working with this community of people, I think, has given me so much. Just the friendship and the warmth of people.
I can't imagine being who I am, where I am, without this theater. This theater has been probably the most important single thing in my life. And no matter what I ever do for it, I can never give back what it's given to me.
I would never trade 1 second of it, and I thank the company.
Things happen in theater that don't happen anywhere else. And I think Mendocino needs that as a community, that it provides a forum, it provides a mirror, it provides culture, it provides ways to see who we are.
It's an artistic home, a place to come and play.